Hey y'all, this is Bryce with Country Fried Muscle. Um, so today I just wanted to do the first part of a 2 or 3 part video series where I talk about raw squatting technique and some common technical errors that I see a lot of lifters making and I think are really common for raw squatters. Most of these people have kind of picked up from articles written by geared lifters or for geared lifters. Excuse me. Um, and I just think it's they've picked up some technical cues that I won't say are wrong, but I think are not optimal for raw squatting, and just a few things that I know I personally had an issue with and have since changed or corrected, and feel much more natural and comfortable with my squat. So the first thing I want to talk about is bar position on your back. When I first started out, low bar, everyone everywhere was saying if you want to squat maximal weight, squat as heavy as you possibly can, you got to go low bar. It's simply more efficient. And I won't necessarily argue that low bar is more efficient. From a physics perspective, it certainly makes sense. However, I don't think that it is optimal for all lifters. Now, if you're a guy who has an exceptionally strong low back, you're a natural deadlifter, and you just your deadlift has always kind of been way out in front of your squat, you're probably going to be more comfortable with a low bar stance or low bar position, simply because it lets you maximize the use of your spinal erectors, which are your strongest body part, as far in relation to your legs. Now, if you're a lifter like me, who has kind of a little bit bigger legs, stronger legs relative to your back, chances are you don't want to get that bent over. In that case, a moderate or even a high bar position can be what you're looking for. I personally like a moderate bar position. I feel like it gives me a good balance between hamstring and quad activation. Keeps me from getting really bent over. I can stay really upright with it, um, and I find it the most comfortable. I actually modeled my squat style off of a Norwegian IPF lifter named Carl Yngvar Christensen. Generally speaking, if guys are doing it in the IPF, it works pretty well raw, technically speaking. Um, so I just kind of adapted his style. Um, then the high bar position when squatting actually has a few unique benefits too. I know that I've had a lot of shoulder injuries throughout my lifting history. High bar is really great because with the bar sitting so high on your back, you don't have to really tighten your back as far, and that can just be a real shoulder saver. And also because it's not riding so low, it's not pulling your shoulder down as much. So if you're having shoulder pain or trying to work around a shoulder injury, high bar squatting can be a godsend because it lets you squat fairly hard and heavy without messing your shoulders up any more than they get from benching and that kind of thing. And some guys are just bull strong with it too. Eric Lillybridge is tearing it up right now, and he is definitely a high bar squatter. John Cole, a guy from back in the day, I believe he squatted 905 as a super heavyweight, and he was a high bar squatter. So for some guys, it's just more efficient. They're just stronger at it for whatever reason. Um, Now another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that I want to talk about is stance width when you're squatting. This is another myth that I heard and I believed when I started squatting, which is uh, you got to squat wide. If you want to squat, big, be a strong squatter, you need to get your stance out wide. For raw squatting, that just doesn't work for most people. Now you'll get outliers. Dan Green. I think Dan Green squats stupid wide for a raw lifter. However, there's no denying that it works for him. For most people, however, I think that a more moderate or even a narrow stance, especially if you use a high bar position, is much more efficient and will put you in a stronger position. Um, so, generally speaking, what I like to do is get set and put my heels under my elbows. I find that puts me about right. I may go a little bit narrower, but I think that's usually a comfortable position and one that you'll get really good drive out of the bottom, but still be able to use your hips at the lockout. One more thing I want to touch on is footwear. This kind of goes hand in hand with bar position and stance. When I first started squatting, I always heard Chuck Taylors, Chuck Taylors, Chuck Taylors. You have to have a flat shoe if you want to squat big. Um, for raw lifting, I don't think that's necessarily true. Now, if you're going low bar and using a little bit wider of a stance, yes, you want a flat soled shoe. However, if you're like myself, you like to stay more upright, you're a moderate bar position, really having a heel can help you hit depth easier, be more comfortable in the hole, and just put you in a more efficient position to come out of the bottom. Um, so I started off squatting in chucks and then eventually moved to Olympic lifting shoes. My first one was the Versus Athletic. The heel height on that was a bit much, so I changed to the Douyin. And I believe those have a 3/4 inch heel, and I found that to be perfect. Really good balance and stability. Um, so just play around with what you're wearing on your feet too. I think that for most people, adding a heel really can help clean up their squat form and make it feel more natural, and also um, encourage you to get in a little bit better of a position as far as stance width. Um, so that's part one, guys. Hopefully you like it, and you'll check in for parts two and maybe three if I need them. So have a good night. Hope everybody's having a good one. Bye.